Stephen!
Andrew!
Merry Christmas, man.
Merry Christmas.
Fancy, I don't know, spending a Christmas day inside number 9 with me?
I absolutely do.
So, yeah, I mean, like, it's Christmas Day, and we thought we should just sort of have a chat and say Merry Christmas to all those people who have listened to our podcast through this year, and say hello, because it's not a usual Christmas. There might be people on their own. And, yeah, we don't want you to feel alone, do we?
No, we don't.
No, we don't.
So we thought we'd come to you via Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts and, yeah, come and spend some time with you.
Indeed. You can spend some time getting to know us and getting to like us. I've been listening to... is it Julie Andrews? Or...
No, it's in the film is Deborah Kerr.
Right, okay. Deborah Kerr singing Getting to Know You. And that's been going around my head for the last couple of hours because I felt like that's what this podcast is going to be. And that sounds really, I don't know, self-absorbent and idiotic. But, yeah.
Nothing less than they've come to expect from us.
And it's while I've been going through some of the questions that have been coming in.
Thick and fast.
Really thick and fast over the past couple of hours. From people who are in some way involved in the podcast. Yeah, no, and I think, you know, that it feels like that's the way that we're going to structure our little conversation, our little Christmas. Is it right to keep referring to Christmas? Because I get annoyed when I go back and listen to episodes of podcasts that were Christmas specials, but I'm listening in like March. And it's still relevant, but they keep talking about Christmas, and it just feels really disconnected. I
guess we've got the point across now.
So should we not mention Christmas again?
I don't think it has to be a rule. I don't think it's something you should feel you have to go back and edit out if we mention it from this point on. But
beep it out.
Forbidden words.
Replace it with whatever you want. Summer. It's a summer special.
Can you write a script so when it listens to a podcast, it takes any like time of year relevant words and replaces them to make it more relatable for that time?
That's a really good idea.
It's not a very good idea at all.
Oh man, yeah. So, yeah, I mean, like, what's going on for you, man?
What's going on for me? It's well, I can't make any reference to the time of year it is anymore. So, since you've closed off that little avenue of discussion, things are normal. Really?
Yeah, cool.
They're not.
Well, we've just, in the most unnormal way, we've just spent the last 15 minutes eating pork pies at each other. Because we had the great idea of... so Steve accidentally bought 2 pork pies.
They were big pork pies.
The massive pork pie, 2-pounders. And he was told in no uncertain terms that if he ate both of them, he would die. So,
I was going to say not by a medical professional, but she is.
She is. Worth listening to. So he very kindly offered to give me one of his pork pies, which was very kind. And so we had the great idea of, we'll get on and record a podcast, and we'll eat a slice of pork pie. And then as we started eating them, we realised that's the worst thing to do on a podcast. It's eating down a microphone.
Not eat.
So we spent just a little bit of time before we started recording just scoffing pork pie to get rid of it.
As you say, at one another.
At one another. So that might become a new tradition at this time of year, whatever time of year this might be.
Insert festival here.
Okay, should we go through some of these questions that have been coming? You put out on Twitter, didn't you, yesterday?
Yeah.
Is there anything you'd like?
The response was overwhelming.
Yeah, it was. Let me. I can't. Where to start? Let's start with Gus.
Okay.
So he said, "Thank you so much for doing the show. Merry Christmas." It's annoying, Gus. I shouldn't have started with that one, but and Gus wants to know what our favourite '90s boy band is and why.
Why?
I think we can have one each.
Well, really?
We don't have to
don't
share.
Exist as a one solid entity.
No.
I think probably Backstreet Boys.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah, they had a bit of an edge to them. Slightly edgier than the other ones.
Mm-hmm.
If you can call. I mean, it's all relative, isn't it? Really, when you're talking about edgier.
Edgier, yeah.
The 911 or whoever. Yeah.
Whoever's on Gus's mind.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, what was edge for you? What does that mean?
I don't know, just not quite as clean cut. I mean, obviously they were. But they had the video that was all horror based. Which one was that one? Was that Backstreet's Back?
I don't know.
It was like a haunted mansion thing.
Yeah.
If I remember rightly. Yeah. They were just a little bit different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They were like the Big Brothers to. They were like the Boyzone to.
Yeah.
NSYNC as Westlife. NSYNC.
Hang on a minute. The Boyzone to Westlife.
Boyzone and Westlife.
That's
Boys
a relationship. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
That's what I would say.
Okay.
Yeah, I think my favourite one was E17. And when I look back at that now, I have no idea why.
Is it the potato story? Is that what swung it for you?
No, it wasn't. I think it was to do with the hats. It was to do with Brian Harvey's hats.
Okay.
Which I always thought was quite cool when I was a kid. And
I have to look at Brian Harvey's
Harvey, the way he used to wear his hat just perched on the top of his head.
That and his Parkers. Oh yeah.
It always used to make me wonder, like, what are you hiding in?
He did it with beanies. He did it with
baseball caps.
Maybe he's just got a massive head.
Yeah.
And he can just sort of plonk it on top. Yeah.
He hides potatoes under his.
It looks like Dappy followed in his footsteps with wearing a hat in a stupid way.
Yes. Dappy from
N-Dubs.
So N-Dubs were to E17 what Westlife are to Boyzone.
This sounds like one of those questions on an IQ like a Mensa test. Boyzone is to Westlife. What Backstreet Boys is to blank.
Yeah.
NSYNC is the answer. Oh. Towel. It's always a towel.
Right. Yeah. So, Gus, I hope that answers your question. It's mainly weirdly guys that have asked questions. That's pretty much exclusively blokes. Graham got in touch to ask how much we'd be willing to spend on a snooker cue chalk that had been used to chalk the tip of John Virgo's cue when he was on Big Break.
I don't think you can put a price on something that's been used to chalk John Virgo's cue tip.
I mean, Graham, where's that question come from?
You've had far too much fun with this, haven't you?
I don't know. Like, how much is a chalk's probably like what, a couple of quid?
Pence, really? As much
is it
as
maybe
that?
not that much? Maybe,
I don't know.
Maybe get like a 4-pack for a couple of quid.
I guess you then need to start breaking down what each of the elements involved kind of is worth individually. Chalk, John Virgo, used by John Virgo.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Have you got a figure in mind?
No, not really. It probably also depends on, who. It's like, I don't know if you ever watched those like programs. I actually applied to get us on Bargain Hunt once, the two of us.
When was that?
Probably about 10 years ago. I put in a proper
why
application.
Is this the first I've heard of this?
Because the shame was I got a rejection email.
From David Dickinson himself.
No, it was after David Dickinson. It was Tim, the Tim bloke.
Wannacott.
Yeah. See, you're into it.
I know. £3 from Sports Direct for a 4-pack.
For a 4-pack. Okay, £3 for a 4-pack. So
75p each, just for the.
Yeah, no, what I was going to say about like the, so like Bargain Hunt, you see, I mean, it all like when you kind of have a product that you're putting into an auction, it all depends on who's at that auction.
Oh, completely.
And how much they are aware of what they're going to be able to buy at the auction. So if you've got like some real fans, either like 90s TV nostalgia fans or snooker fans, it's probably going to fetch a lot more than if you've just got like, I don't know.
Someone who wants some, someone who just wants some chalk with their cue. Although why they're at an auction, I don't really know. I need some snooker cue chalk. I'll just pop down the auction.
Say Brexit has really hit the snooker chalk market quite hard. Like
we can't import it for love nor money.
Import it. So all that's left is
auction houses,
and John Virgo. He's down to his last few pence. He's thinking, right, I'm going to have to auction off, or maybe Jim Davidson's got a couple of little chalks lying around.
God, imagine a world where that happens, where we don't have access to new stuff anymore. And all you can do to buy stuff is go and bid on it and hope that you're lucky enough that no one else is there that wants to bid on something you want or need.
It'd be dreadful, wouldn't it?
It would.
Especially as you're like, man, John Virgo's Q-tip's been in this. I actually wanted a fresh one. Like, to someone who really wants to chalk their Q, that's worth a lot less than somebody who wants something that's been chalked in the queue by the Q of Virgo.
The Q of Virgo. Sounds like an awful astrology thing at this point.
Saturn is currently in the Q of Virgo. I don't know anything about astrology. Yeah, I don't know. That's probably 60 quid.
Where has that price come from? 60? Okay, 65.
67.
£67.23.
You can have it.
Too rich for my blood.
Right, there you go, Graham. £67.25p.
23p. I'm not made of money. Come on.
Sorry. Good question, though. Very imaginative. Anton C asks, what is hanging on your wall and when will it explode?
I feel like whatever the item is, this second part, the answer is, I hope never.
Well, there's no point in it hanging on your wall then, according to Anton.
This wall in here right now. I've got a couple of pieces of wine-related artwork behind me.
Right. Nice.
And a wooden sign that was up at our wedding. Not our wedding.
Not at our wedding. It was the
our
other
wedding. That was a different sign. That's it. And I hope none of them ever explode. Because that would be terrifying.
Well, Anton did say there's no point in having something on your wall in Act 1 unless it explodes in Act 3 or goes off in Act 3.
Chekhov's wall hanging.
He just said that in a PS at the end of his email.
Yes, don't hang it unless it's going to eventually explode.
There's no point hanging it unless it's going to explode.
You've got a mirror behind you there. That would be a real mess.
That would be bad, actually. I've got the world behind me as well.
If the world explodes,
yeah,
we might all be in for an easy escape right now.
That's true, yeah.
Happy Christmas.
Yeah. Craig, originally from London, says, when the pandemic ends and you're allowed out again, who's paying for dinner?
Well, that's a very good question, Craig. I think there's always that risk that you end up in that argument, isn't there, with the people that you're having dinner with?
Yeah.
We've all been there. Craig knows.
He does.
I think it depends who you're with. But if you're out with friends, just split it evenly, Craig.
So if we go out like we do,
I think we probably go Dutch.
Yeah.
Not the cuisine. It's a bit samey. Stroop waffles.
And baby bells.
Veal. And tulips. I think
no offence to any of our Dutch listeners.
We can't talk. We've got British cuisine.
We do.
Pork pies.
Really a thing, is it?
Pork pies and mince pies and
anything pies.
Pie.
Anything in pastry.
Anything in pastry. I stand by the fact that I can't think of a food that isn't improved by pastry.
Was that one of your philosophies?
I think so, yeah. I can't think of anything that isn't better with pastry around it.
I'll make a note of that and think about it through.
Think about it, because some people in response to that suggest really shit foods. You're like, well, they're shit in the first place. Put pastry around it doesn't make it worse, does it?
No. What? So people come back to you with they're
an
already existing not very good thing.
Yeah, you're like, well, it doesn't make it worse.
You have just improved that because
exactly.
At least you've taken away some of the taste and replaced it with pastry taste and pastry texture, which is what's your favourite pastry?
I like short crust pastry. Mm-hmm. I like puff pastry, but I don't like that it's used on top of a stew and called a pie.
Yeah,
one of those fake pies.
Mm-hmm.
How about you? What's your favourite pastry?
I think I would agree. Short crust for like pie. Yeah, kind of just holds it together beautifully. And a puff pastry, I like it.
It has its place.
Yeah, I kind of like it. Like a turnover type thing.
Yeah,
like a cheese and bacony type turnover, where all the ingredients sort of just dance together in a kind of light, airy-fairy way.
No one's calling it a pie. You're just calling it a turnover.
A turnover, yeah. I call it a dancing
symphony of flavour.
Yeah. I've never called it that, which is why you had to finish what I called it.
You look like you were struggling, so I thought I'd step in and take charge.
Thanks. Okay, I'll bear that pastry quandary in mind through the rest of this episode. David got in touch saying he's heard us talk about Twin Peaks quite a lot, or he's heard me talk about Twin Peaks quite a lot. He's never watched it. He's asked, do you think I'd enjoy it? I really like pairs of things. I like stuff that comes in twos and that kind of stuff. So would it be up my street? It's very difficult to answer that question, David, to be honest.
In relation to the pairs aspect, I wouldn't say it's specifically for people who enjoy paired items.
No.
I don't think it offers a huge amount from that perspective. Is there anything... I'd have to ask David a bit more about things he enjoys other than pairs.
Yeah, because I mean, Twin Peaks, it's not like explicitly about two peaks. Like, I mean, the backdrop. There's two sort of mountains that kind of sit in the backdrop of the town of Twin Peaks, but that's about it. And yeah, I mean, it's if you like kind of like shadowing stuff, like light and dark, and the sort of yin yang kind of ideas of dualistic stuff. I don't know how deep you go with your enjoyment of pairs, to be honest, David, but yeah, I mean, give it a go. Like, maybe.
I feel like most people listening to this would probably enjoy something about Twin Peaks.
Yeah, me too.
It's one of those things that I wouldn't like to say they definitely would, because it's pretty out there in certain aspects when it really goes for it.
Yeah, but the first, I mean, if you've never watched it, the first series, you just is a joy to enter that space, that environment, that world. Yeah, definitely. So, yeah, it depends, David. Depends.
That's what he was looking for, a definitive depends.
It's neither this nor that.
You might not. We should never start an advice line. No. Speaking of which, George, who I think is involved he works on a phone line, says, "Thank you for doing the podcast as long as you have. It's been really insightful and helpful for me. You're such big stars to me. You show me everything I want to be, but I feel you might be stuck in a hole that I want you to get out of. Oh.
What are you waiting for?" It's quite an aggressive question, George.
It is, George. I don't know. What are we waiting for?
What hole are we? Are we? What would you say we're in?
We have just landed in a hole in that we've run out of episodes of Inside Number 9 to talk about, so we need to wait for Series 6.
That's true. So we are waiting for Series 6, George.
That is the thing we're waiting for, George, to answer your question about what we're waiting for. Series 6 of Inside Number 9. Yeah, I mean, I know we've talked about getting out of this hole while we wait.
Yeah. And this is feels quite appropriate a question, actually, the more we delve into it. Because
done well here.
Because we're in a bit of a hole, thinking, what's the best way to proceed between now, finishing Series 5, waiting for Series 6, and we want to keep going because, gives us some kind of joy in our life. Keeps us talking to each other.
Without it, we wouldn't have spoken for 6 months.
No. So, we're waiting for basically some kind of flash of inspiration to know.
I had a few thoughts of things we could do.
We have.
And
such as,
should we put some things out there? See what people think. I guess we can kind of see what. Throw some spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks.
And then we eat our dinner off the wall.
Maybe pour some mushroom soup on it. We're thinking about maybe doing some like theme episodes where we group some episodes together. And kind of look at themes running through little episode sets. Perhaps like sort of suburban written ones, horror ones, those sorts of things.
We are, which will be a way. It's And the more I've thought about it, the more, because when we started, it was like, oh, we'll go through them all and then we'll go through them again. And it's like, I don't think that's helpful unless you have other people contributing stuff who know things about the themes and stuff in each of those episodes.
Yeah.
Which might be, but I don't know how you source people like that.
Well, hopefully they'll write in like all the people that you've got stacks of letters from.
That's true, yeah.
Letters, they're all letters as well. They're all handwritten.
Handwritten letters, yeah.
Posts.
In response to your tweet.
Which is incredible, really.
Absolutely incredible.
What else have we considered doing?
I mean, I'd find it'd be quite cool to like chat to people who have been involved in the show. Like, I think, obviously Steve and Reese are probably way beyond. I don't have either of their email addresses.
Aim high.
But, yeah. But it might be quite interesting just to see if we can talk to maybe people who've been involved in the production or actors. Yeah. That's an idea. We haven't talked about that idea.
We haven't talked about that idea, but I like that as an idea.
Yeah, that could be.
Start hitting Twitter.
Yeah. Just smashing it.
Please, listeners, do not harass members of Inside Number 9 production crews on our behalf. It's not on our behalf.
It's not. No. Please be gentle. Yeah, that's yeah. So there's that. Themes. Have we had any other ideas?
We haven't really spoken about the hair. All
the
way
hair,
through, have we?
Yeah. So maybe, and I cut the idea of identifying the hair in every episode.
It's a pretty quick episode each week, though, isn't it? There it is. It's on the cabinet.
Yeah. But it would take. I think some of them would take quite a lot of research because there's some that I haven't seen it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I don't know if have you seen those articles which says like the hair appears in every episode and they see the screenshots of all it and they don't show about probably 10% of the episode screenshots. Okay. It's like you haven't bothered doing this. This is just pure like clickbait nonsense for fans of Inside Number 9. Written by someone who hasn't bothered actually finding the hair in all the episodes.
Here you are, having been baited by that click.
Yeah.
There you are.
And all you're going by is the belief that is true. Like, do we actually know that is true other than from them saying that it is?
It's there.
Like, yeah. I don't know. Which is why I'd be intrigued to see if we can find it, locate it in every episode. And we'd need listeners' help for that, I think. I can't be asked to.
Also, there is a lot of stuff. Yeah, I've barely watched any of the episodes, if I'm honest. There is, I think there's also legs with potentially going and listening to commentaries and Stephen Reese's own podcast.
That's true.
Because we have deliberately avoided doing so up to this point so that it didn't just become a regurgitation of that.
Of what they say, yeah.
And seeing how what they say fits in with what we said.
Yeah.
Seeing how
far off the mark are we?
Yeah, how we bollocks it up completely on the vast majority of episodes.
Yeah.
But one thing we can be sure of is that they will probably mention the deer and how it saw something.
I mean, the deer and obviously technology and phones.
Phones being communication being
yeah.
a long-running theme.
Exactly. Yep. So that's what we're waiting for, and we've just stumbled upon it. So we're out of that hole.
That was a really great question.
Yeah. George, thanks, man.
Thanks. Cheers, George.
Oh, I've got a question here from Jorg.
Jorg.
Yeah. It says he loves the show. Hasn't missed an episode yet. What's the weirdest thing you've ever done a shit in?
Quality Street Tin. No. Jorg, I don't know what to tell you really. Toilet, I think.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything other than a toilet.
I've lived quite a vanilla lifestyle when it comes to toileting. Yeah.
I've done wheeze in other places, but I don't think I've ever
never been caught short.
gone number 2 anywhere else. Sorry, Jorg.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could ask where the weirdest toilet you've used is.
I think that's how we're going to have to approach this. Where's the weirdest toilet? Where's the weirdest place you've ever done a poo-poo?
Again, I don't... Actually, it's not a better way to approach it.
No. No. Sorry, Jorg.
But I guess one of those long drop things at a festival.
That's all I was thinking about. And I was thinking about Glastonbury, and then I realised, no, I didn't do one at Glastonbury. I went 5 days
not?
without going for one.
Wow.
Yeah.
You must have been horribly backed up.
I mean, it's sort of... My relationship with it ebbed and flowed through the time, so to speak.
What a phrase to use.
So, I think day 2 was very uncomfortable. Day 3, I was okay. Day 4, it was like, ooh, it's getting a bit, ooh.
I see.
And then the rest of the time, I think I was okay. And I got home, and it was quite good. The best. Like I actually remember this shit.
Was it?
This was 2002. This was nearly 20 years ago, and I remember it. It was quite the moment.
Or as I've known it since 2000 and poo.
Poo thousand and poo.
This is what the people come here for. This sort of humour.
Right, we'll move on from Jorg's question. Thanks for that, Jorg. Really appreciate the where you took that. Julian in Austria says, "Yeah, really appreciate. Thanks so much for doing the show. Keep up the insightful crackpot theories. You guys have a devilish charm. How are you spending Christmas this year?"
Obviously, this could be any time of year, and so this question could be for in 6 months' time.
And it could be any Christmas
year, or any year. So that varies. Christmas this year is quiet here. My wife's working, so it's just me and my daughter on our own for the day, and then we'll have Christmas Day on Boxing Day, and then Boxing Day on the 27th. We've pushed our year back a day.
Oh, you're not having Christmas Day on Christmas Eve?
No, we changed our mind.
Right.
That was what we were going to do, but we've decided, no, wait, Sarah finishes work, then we can have.
She's got like loads more days to Christmas.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a quiet one for me as well. We don't really have much choice.
No.
Yeah. Which I'm quite looking forward to in some ways.
See, yeah,
I feel bad about saying it.
Just us. We did Just Us last year, and it's nice to not have pressure and to be able to spend the day doing what I want when I want, apart from being at the beck and call of a 16-month-old child.
Yeah, yeah. You do what she wants when she wants.
Apart from those 2 hours when she's asleep in the afternoon, and then I can do what I want for 2 whole hours.
Yes. Yeah. No, yeah. And it's no offense to like people that you normally see around Christmas, and it's nothing personal, but yeah, it's just quite nice to really properly be able to chill out. Yeah, that's the plan. Who asked that question?
Julian
in Austria. That's it.
Do you have any particular exciting Christmas traditions in your household?
Not really. No. Okay. I mean, we used to do like on Christmas Eve we'd have do like a little performance. So we'd get the microphones out and sing songs and stuff like that.
Andy's annual Dance of the Seven Veils.
Yeah, pretty much. Sometimes it'd be a little puppet show or a bit of theatre. And then
This year, the king and I.
Well, yeah, getting to know me. But yeah, food we eat, presents. I don't know if you've heard of them.
Most families don't. That's something most families just don't do. It's nice to do something a bit different, give presents and have a nice roast dinner.
Yeah. Now, how about you?
Not really. Nothing that's sort of stuck yet. I guess as little one grows up, we can kind of just sort of, throw stuff at the wall and see what sticks.
And then eat it off the wall.
I was mocked for my belief that you put beer or whiskey out for Santa and milk out for the reindeer. Apparently that's not a thing.
I thought that was a thing.
I thought that was a thing. Apparently no, that it's milk and cookies for Santa or beer. I'm not having that. Reindeer drink milk.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, of course. So beer, wine and whiskey. I was always told by my dad. Beer.
Santa's taste in beer is getting more and more elaborate each year. Like, I've heard demands for the 13.5% Imperial Stout that I've got waiting out in the garage for this year.
Yeah, you might get cold.
Although I was hoping to save that for myself, but that's what Santa needs, really.
Yeah. What he needs, he gets.
Sounds a bit sinister. He gets what he deserves.
Okay, right, next question. Stevie, would you prefer to receive Body Shop vouchers or cash as a Christmas present, and what would you spend the Body Shop vouchers on? A bit presumptuous that we would select the Body Shop vouchers there, Stevie.
I think in the current climate, taking vouchers for any one particular store is a very dangerous thing to do.
But what would you spend the vouchers on?
I wouldn't have the vouchers in the first place.
I get the impression Stevie isn't really... This isn't a real...
This is
choice.
Actually about the Body Shop vouchers.
Yeah, I think so.
It's not a real choice. I don't know. What do the Body Shop sell now?
It depends. What is this, a car body shop or is this...
I'd save it until I needed some work done on the car.
And then I get some nice shampoo.
Maybe if I hit a loan shark or something, I might need the windscreen replacing.
That's true. Yeah.
They do gifts for men, the Body Shop.
It has to be just for men, does it?
Well, I'm just thinking of things that might be
bath salts
useful to me.
I never buy bath salts.
Do you not? I don't really bath.
No, but I would if I had salts.
It's a prerequisite to me bathing is salts. Hair and body wash, that makes sense.
Yeah. Deodorant stick, something like that.
Shaving cream.
Yeah, actually, sandalwood shaving cream.
I don't tend to use shaving cream. I just shave in the shower.
Yeah,
I do.
With what? A razor?
A knife.
Can you get razors? Think of what you use, and then see if there's something that you'd get annoyed having to spend money on, and then just buy that.
A shaving brush. Again, I don't really...
That sounds really sharp. Like, that's the worst brush ever. Jeez, imagine mistaking that for fucking knives in it.
I love that you've made up a product and the idea of it is terrifying you.
A brush with knives in.
That's not a brush, that's a bunch of knives. Anything that's made of knives is not a brush.
But it is scary.
It is scary. Yes, it is. A bunch of knives is a scary idea, and I wouldn't spend my Body Shop vouchers on it, Stevie. Just to make that clear.
There you go.
I like the idea. I like the idea of a shaving brush and shaving cream and doing that properly.
Yeah, but you got to lather it up properly, haven't you?
That's something. Yeah, maybe.
If you're someone who shaves in the shower, you're probably not someone who really wants to spend a lot of time lathering up.
No, but at the same time, I feel like that's that's my utilitarian shave in the morning. Whereas if I was going to spend more time over it,
like a self-care, steaming, and pampering session,
like making coffee properly rather than using instant coffee.
Yeah, use knives.
Don't use instant coffee. Use knives.
Oh, good.
Things I wasn't expecting to talk about this evening included, but we're not limited to, bunches of knives stabbing me in the face. It was a treat.
There you go. Cheers, Stevie. Yeah, we'll take the vouchers and we'll treat ourselves.
You said there wasn't a choice and we had to take the vouchers.
Oh, I don't know.
Because my first answer is I'm not going near the vouchers. I'm not.
What would you spend the cash on?
I don't know. Not a bunch of knives, probably, from somewhere else.
That's what it all comes down to at the end of the day.
If body shops sell bunches of knives, I'll take the vouchers. Otherwise, I need cash.
Because I need knives. Bunches of them. Bunches of knives. Oh, the word bunches has just become really enjoyable.
A bunch of knives.
Who next? Hector. He's got 3 questions. Do you prefer warm or cold climates? That's a fair question. What's your favourite rendition of Lord of the Dance? Strange question. And do you know any good local air conditioning engineers?
Okay.
Do we start with
Question
climates?
1.
Cold or warm?
Probably. Cold. Always cold.
Yeah?
You can always put extra layers on to deal with cold, but you can't always take more layers off.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not wearing anything, you're still hot, then that's really game over, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
Nowhere else to go.
Definitely.
So, yeah, layer up.
Yeah, I agree. Do you like going to hot places just for like a nice holiday? I
mean, that brings us nicely to question 3, because if I've got access to air conditioning, I'll go anywhere.
Yeah.
So it's not really an environmentally responsible answer, is it? Just whack the aircon up, I'm happy.
Would you take an air conditioning engineer with you, or just in case?
I do. No, I do. I have a friend whose dad is an air conditioning engineer.
Do you?
I actually do. I do know an air conditioning engineer.
Cool. We'll DM Hector.
We'll DM. Yeah.
Details about it.
Does he need someone?
I think it sounds like he's got a problem with his.
It's interesting.
His house cold.
I mean, I'd have probably put that if I was in need of climate control adjustment. I probably would have led with that question.
Would you? Is this a criticism?
Yeah. I'm wondering why he left that question till last. If he's in trouble, help. Unless he really wanted answers to the other 2 and didn't want the last question to overshadow them.
Maybe he was trying to ease us into, like, he's trying to give us some questions that we'd actually be like, oh yeah, we could talk about ourselves there. And then he's like,
by the way,
do you know what? The reason I'm getting in touch is because I really need this.
I do. I will go on holiday somewhere hot.
Yeah.
Although went
with your friend's dad.
With my friend's dad. We went to, not me and my friend's dad, went to Australia, but we went in our summer, which was their winter, which was still warm and still lovely, but a good time of year to go to a hot place. Oh,
I love, because I think generally prefer colder climates for the same reason. Like, you know, you can always put more clothes on. Exactly. And there's nothing worse than the feeling of being stiflingly hot and not being able to escape it, and also getting burned.
There is something worse than that: bunches of knives.
Imagine getting sunburnt, and then all you have to like relieve the sunburn is a bunch of knives. That'd be the worst thing ever. That's probably like if you go to hell. That's like you get issued by Lucifer with here's your bunch of knives. As you like, this will relieve the pain of anything that's nice.
Feels like Edward Scissorhands. All he had was a bunch of knives, wasn't it?
Yeah, a couple of bunches of knives. Yeah, and like getting sunburnt is it's the worst feeling. But I went to Australia 2 years ago.
That was Christmas, wasn't it?
At Christmas time. There's no need to be afraid. It was, and it was really hot, like 45 degrees Celsius at one point out in the outback. But because there was air conditioning pretty much everywhere, it made it very tolerable.
You can step out of an air-conditioned car into an air-conditioned apartment.
Exactly, and that makes such a difference. I've been places where that's not the case, and it's similar temperatures, and it's just horrible.
The worst.
And I really don't like that. And I don't know any engineers, but fortunately Steve does. So
I do, but I feel a bit bad calling them now because it's that time of year.
Yeah. Is he okay?
They probably shut down for Christmas.
Yeah, but I mean, it's probably quite a bad time of year for business anyway.
That is
so
true.
Probably
yeah,
appreciate
cold. I mean, I think with the way temperatures seem to be going here, they're in a good trade right now.
Okay.
I think if anyone stands to gain from global warming,
that's true.
air conditioning engineers.
They both stand
probably
to gain from it and also contribute to it. So
that's true.
Yeah.
It's a perfect
win-win.
business to be. Kill the planet, collect the spoils. Air conditioning.
But it makes things tolerable. And in terms of Lord of the Dance, which was like sandwiched in the middle of there?
I find Michael Flatley quite terrifying. As well as that cough.
Excuse me.
Michael Flatley is terrifying.
Yeah. What about the song Lord of the Dance? I think Hector.
Yeah.
Did you ever sing that in like school assembly?
I think we probably did. The one that really the school assembly song that really sticks out in my mind is Autumn Days.
Remember
Autumn Days?
Oh, no, we never did.
When the grass is jewelled and the silk inside a chestnut shell.
The grass.
It goes on and it just goes on about things that are really nice in autumn.
What, with like bunches of knives like going at each other? blades of grass, man. He's dueling blades of grass, slashing each other.
Not all blades are knives. Most blades, but not all blades.
But all knives are blades.
Very true.
Yeah, I don't have a favourite version of Lord of the Dance.
No, I don't. No.
Sorry, Hector. Hopefully we've helped with the other two questions.
By telling him that we know someone we're not going to...
No, we'll DM him. We'll DM him.
Okay.
Right, who else have we got? David in Wood Green. That's London, isn't it?
Yes.
He asks, what's your favourite ingredients to put in a smoothie? And how do you set boundaries? How do you set boundaries and say no to someone you really like if you don't want to do what they're asking you to do? I'm not sure whether that's sort of podcast, but jeez, David.
Smoothies. I think I'm on safer grounds with smoothies.
Let's ease our way in, so to speak.
A wagon wheel smoothie.
Wagon wheel smoothie. That's a good idea.
Because that's got all the flavours in it already, hasn't it? All of them. Every flavour.
What's in a wagon with marshmallow, chocolate,
jam?
See,
having said that, jam and chocolate I feel a bit weird about.
Do you?
Fruit and chocolate I think is a strange mix. Like, I've never enjoyed Black Forest Gatto.
No, I'm not a big fan of Schwarzwälder Kirschtorte.
Part of me thinks you somehow knew I was going to say it, and you've got it written down on a piece of paper in front.
No, it's just one of my favourite German words. Along with Kaninchen, which is a rabbit.
Gummibaum is a good one.
Gummibaum. Mein Kuli ist kaputt.
Mein Kuli. That's a series of words or a
Yeah,
sentence.
it's a great phrase. You can use it for anything. Well, anything that's broken.
Any coolie that's broken.
Yeah.
Any pen.
No,
any broken pen.
Well, I mean, you can replace
You've got a
coolie
broken
with...
pen. Mine a bunch of knives. Is too blunt.
It's blunt.
I mean, that's essentially what a blender, isn't it? Bunch of knives on the bottom of a jug.
It is, indeed. It is.
Spinning bunch of knives.
Yeah, what about like chocolate-covered strawberries and stuff like that?
Well, does it matter if the strawberries and the chocolate go in separately, seeing as you're about to smoothie them? Does the strawberry have to be covered in chocolate?
You can tell when you're drinking that smoothie. These were not covered.
I remember this, when I was younger, this place that appeared in Reading, I think they're a chain, Shakeaway, that will turn anything into a milkshake. Any confectionery you can imagine throwing into some ice cream, they will put it in there and blend it.
Mm-hmm. That's like that Will It Blend guy.
Yeah, but with fewer golf balls.
Well, iPhones and...
Less dust that you shouldn't breathe at the end.
You really should not drink that.
Don't breathe this. Yeah, cream egg milkshakes.
I can
very
imagine.
very sickly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many cream eggs in a cream egg milkshake?
For them specifically, or just a question in general? How many cream eggs are in a... Probably a towel.
It's
normally a towel.
It's normally a towel. Yeah. I mean, to be fair, I have a smoothie every day. My breakfast is a smoothie. It's a green smoothie. Yeah. What I have. I just like to cram all my fruit and veg in one drink.
Actually, yeah, I have Huel every day, which is basically a smoothie.
Yeah, there you go.
Huel, if you're listening and you'd like to send me free meals.
Yeah, and if spinach, you're listening, or kale, apples, bananas, and almond milk. If any of you are listening,
almond milk.
Yeah.
How do you milk an almond? Is it?
I've never
a labor-intensive process.
Yeah, I don't really know.
We have
the teats are tiny.
We have oat milk.
Oh yeah,
which I think is probably an even bigger problem.
Yeah,
milking an almond. Oats are really small.
Yeah, even smaller teats.
Do they? Is it just nuts steeped in water? Is that what happens with almond milk?
I don't know. Simon, if you're listening.
What is... Yeah. How do you make... I mean, yeah, I could look it up now, but I don't know. Maybe I prefer not to know, like a magic trick.
Yeah. Oh, I've just crossed out David's second question.
David's second question, which...
I'm not sure I really think it's appropriate for us to answer that. It feels quite... How do you set boundaries and say no to someone you really like if you don't want to do what they're asking you to do?
I think that, well...
This is obviously a situation he's in, or has been in.
I think you need to be very clear with that person. If it's someone you like, and you're going to continue to like them, then I think the worst thing you can do is do anything that's going to make you feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah. And if they like and respect you, then they would be okay with that and they'd understand that, and you could help them realise, no, actually I'm asking them to do something that is unfair and is more than they want to do. So, yeah. Good luck with that, David.
Wow.
Hope it's nothing too bad. Right. Gabriel, what was your favourite party memory from when you were a child? It's an interesting question, Gabriel.
I can't think of many. I remember being dressed up as Bucky O'Hare. Remember Bucky O'Hare?
No.
It was a cartoon. It was a rabbit or a hare who was on a spaceship, and he was in charge of this spaceship.
It was meant to be this, wasn't it?
The hare, yeah, it was. Yeah, I remember being dressed up as Bucky O'Hare, and I even had a balaclava with little hair ears.
Balaclava as well.
And a
Jeez,
balaclava.
man.
That's one more.
Have you still got a balaclava?
That's one more balaclava than Simon Woolley currently owns. I mean, it's his. It's just not very useful to him where it is right now.
Wait for the Christmas
post to subside,
or whatever time of year this is.
When the Easter post, the
Royal Mail's probably still in a bit of a conundrum, whatever time of year it is. Shout out to Royal Mail.
That's, if you're listening,
if you want to sponsor this podcast, letters.
I mean, we have received many letters.
Loads of letters since yesterday. When you put that
yesterday's tweet. Scribbling furiously. Yeah, that's the main party memory I have. Ironically, the only other one I have is the one where I smashed my head on a table at someone else's party. Why that would be one of my memories, I don't know. But
probably because you didn't do that at every party, and that was a particularly memorable one. Even though,
yeah,
you probably
shouldn't have been
ruined your memory.
Yeah, I remember that. But that wouldn't be one of my favourite memories.
Favourite party memories.
What about yours?
Yeah, I don't know. I remember the first time I went to Laser Quest was on a birthday party with one of my friends, and that was like both. It was you know how when you're a kid, things like that, people who the other kids who have been before egg it up to a point where you start to get terrified by what your imagination kind of thinks it's going to be.
Like paintball.
Yeah, exactly. It's that kind of...
Except lasers don't hurt.
It's all going to be dark, and you wear this pack, and you've got to hide, and you shoot each other, and there's lasers flying around all over the place. And then they're like... I remember there was like an alien that used to come in... I think like one of the staff would dress up as an alien and come in and just like kill everybody. And they talk about that. And like to you, especially as me, like a very...
Yeah. If you've got no frame of reference there at all.
Yeah, exactly. And
mental.
I'm like, this doesn't sound really like my cup of tea anyway. I have a very vivid imagination, and this kind of thing, I have no frame of reference and don't understand things that... like I remember when I remember talking to my brother when I must have only been about 6 or 7, and I was really into music, and he was talking about like, we should record an album, and I had no idea what an album was. So the only frame of reference I had for an album was a photo album. So I was like, right, bands put out albums, so put out photo. So how do we record a photo album? And I was like going...
Camera, mate. It's a camera.
Yeah, exactly.
So you record it.
But my problem was I wouldn't really ask. I would just sort of like try and work it out in my head and get it completely wrong. But yeah, that's not a favourite party memory.
When my brother said he wanted to record an album and I thought about photos.
I've gone off piste a little bit there. But no, I think after that was one of those parties. It was like before I was absolutely terrified, and afterwards I was like totally exhilarated and thinking, I want to do Laser Quest again. I love it.
I remember being a bit disappointed by Laser Quest because I think, like you, I'd heard things about Laser Quest that made me think it was.
You had the opposite. You were like, this sounds amazing, rather than I don't want to do that. That sounds terrifying.
I was like, this sounds like this sprawling expanse of like darkened areas where people are going to be leaping out at each other, and you'll be able to duck around and hide, and it sounds mental. And I got there, it was relatively small. It was they were the people that had been there a lot who were just walking around taking the piss.
Yeah.
Just you're dead.
Yeah, you're dead.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we've very
different experiences of Laser Quest.
Yeah. Never. Yeah. Other parties.
No.
I remember having a takeaway pizza for the first time.
Wow.
That was the same kid that did Laser Quest actually as well.
Was he someone who had big parties?
He was like the
party guy.
Think about the McAllister family in Home Alone.
Yeah.
His family was like that. They were the cutting edge.
Well, they went away and left him at home on his own.
Yeah, he was always on his own. I went round for pizza, Laser Quest. No, they were like probably quite cutting edge, materialistic, going beyond what they could potentially afford to.
Laser Quest was actually in his basement.
Yeah, no, it wasn't actually. I think we did. What else did I do with it? Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to, draw too much.
They're probably listening now.
Probably are.
If they work for Royal Mail, that is.
Or Spinach.
Or Bunch of Knives Corporation.
Yeah. But no, he had good parties. Yeah, I remember. What was it? Pizza. We played on the SNES and...
Oh, wow. We're going back a bit then.
Yeah, I think he found like pictures of boobs and stuff as well. He showed me some pictures of boobs. That's my first experience. And only experience.
Andrew's awake.
Yeah, there you go. So, who else have we got? Alex, in brackets, he says he's avoiding town during the big shop.
Probably best.
Have you had any near-death experiences? What do you look back on with a sense of relief that you got through? Wow, Alex.
Near-death... I have never had a near-death experience. I've been pretty lucky.
That's cool.
You?
Not...
I can think of one.
What?
Could have ended differently.
Jumping out the window?
Jumping out a window, yeah.
Falling. No, it was
style. Preparing
to jump out of a window, deciding I'm not going to jump out the window, trying to climb back into the window and falling down the side of the wall. Yeah, that was quite bad. That could have been really bad.
That could have been near death.
Yeah. But it wasn't. I was fine. I lived to... That was the start of our budding relationship.
It was. I think that near death the fact that it's a near death experience suggests that you're going to survive it.
Yeah.
So I don't think surviving
it
the
other side
is a reason to write it off.
It was near life.
No, it wasn't a near-death experience because I survived it.
We never talk about near-life experiences when we died.
Because you're not here to talk about them anymore.
But people don't talk about it with other people, about other people. Oh, they nearly...
They nearly lived. But they...
Let's not go there. Yeah, because that's not helpful. I did have a near death or an experience that could have gone a lot worse. When it was probably about 10 years ago. So my parents were living in Harrogate. I was living in Leamington, and I was going to drive up for Christmas. Oh, I did drive up for Christmas, and I left the house in my car, and there was this weird smell of like burning rubber. And I'd stopped off to deliver a present somewhere else, and I was like, there's something weird smelling in the car. And he was like, yeah, there is. Couldn't see anything obvious about of what was causing it. So I was like, screw it, I'll just go.
There was a tyre on fire in the backseat.
got onto the first main road and had a blowout on one of the tyres. And then I got sort of breakdown recovery to come and like it had been snowing. Like I'd had to pull out. It was a dual carriageway. I had to pull over as far as I could into this ditch that I didn't know whether it was a drop or anything like that. But I had to get. It was on the A46. I had to get as far across as I could. I was waiting there for 3 hours for recovery. They came and I was like, there was a weird smell of rubber before, like burning rubber before this happened. Like, can you have a look rather than just replacing the tyre or putting a spare tyre on? Like, can you make sure that everything's okay? And then he was like, oh yeah, don't worry, it's just a slow puncture. It was just a slow, and I was like, that wasn't. I mean, the tyre exploded. Like that wasn't a slow puncture, but
that was very quick.
But he reassured me, and so I put the spare tyre on my way. So it was another 100 miles or so, and then the next day went to the garage went to a local tyre place to get the tyre replaced, like put a proper tyre on rather than just a spare. And they were like,
you drove all the way up to Harrogate?
Yeah.
Space saver.
Yeah.
Wow.
And they were like, right, okay, before we replace your tyre, you need to go and get your suspension fixed. And so then I had to go around the corner to get to another garage. And they fixed the suspension, which is basically like a coil spring had gone. And he was like, how far have you driven on that? And I was like, it's about 100 miles. He was like, you what? 100 miles? And he'd taken photos because it was so extreme. Like there was this coil spring had snapped and it was severed to this, and the brake cable was about a centimetre, maybe less than a centimetre away from this severed coil spring. And he was like, I would have been surprised if you'd said you'd driven like 1 mile with it like that, and that hadn't severed the brake cable.
Wow.
Yeah. So then I got onto the breakdown company and
had some strong words. Did you write a strongly worded email?
I wrote a strongly worded email, and they were very quick to offer me £50 in compensation.
£50?
Which at the time, I was like, that's a lot of money. And I took it.
Because you were living in 1930 Britain.
They were so fast to offer it. I was thinking I could have got probably thousands of pounds off them, but
wow,
I didn't. But yeah, it wasn't until that bloke showed me those pictures and was so shocked at the fact that it was more than a mile that I'd driven, and it turned out to be like, 100 miles that I'd driven. And yeah, that was one of those.
I'd put that on near death.
Yeah, I would say I was quite lucky. I got away with something there. Yeah. And when I drove back home, I found the coil spring on the drive. It snapped before I'd even, left.
Oh, that's what that clanging noise was as I pulled off the driveway.
Yeah, so that's my near-death experience. Well, and falling down the wall.
And falling down the wall.
Yeah, good.
Was there a second part to that question?
What did he ask? No, it was just what do you look back on with a sense of relief that you got through.
Okay.
Is that a different question? Does that conjure anything else for you?
Not really. Been relatively lucky, really. Haven't had any harrowing experiences, really.
Not truly harrowing experience.
Not truly harrowing.
No bunches of knives either. Speaking of Harrogate, Varney in Yorkshire asks, what do you tend to do for your heart health and blood pressure? Love the show. Sounds like you open quite a lot of cans during it. How many pints can you drink?
It's a very good question. Well done, Varney.
Cheers, man.
What do I do for my heart
health and blood pressure?
I mean, that's one of the things that over the course of this over the course of this podcast, I've actually probably got a lot healthier.
Yeah.
I think I've dropped like 3.5 stone over the course of doing this podcast. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Stress of
stress
to watch the show every
having to watch Inside Number 9 and talk about it every week is just mad. No, because I remember back in July, I was like, right, I'm going to start running.
Yeah.
I did start running, and that's tailed off a bit, partly because of work, and partly because the weather's been utterly awful.
It's not great, is it?
Yeah,
we both did that at the same time, actually, didn't we?
Yeah, we did, yeah. I haven't been drinking as much. I tend to save my drinking for recording the podcast.
Which is why you hear those cans opening.
That's why the cans are opening up. And the number of pints I can drink, it depends on what I'm drinking, really.
Yeah.
At the moment, it's winter, so it's stouts and thick.
Can't drink as many.
One thing that has probably helped my heart health and blood pressure is having a dairy allergic child, which means that it's all dairy free here. So no nice butter, cream.
And you're fine about that?
And I'm fine about that.
I can tell.
I'm not about that in any way whatsoever, especially at this time of year.
Yeah, I think I'm probably similar, Varney. Smoothies help. Vegetable juice.
Just not the jammy Dodger ones.
Bit of vegetable juice.
Wagon wheel ones, though.
No, not the wagon wheel ones. Running. Doing a lot of running this year. And I can now drink a lot fewer pints than I used to be able to.
Yeah.
Because I mean,
fewer.
And like even this year, because I've lost 1.5 stone. Like I've dropped 6% body fat since May.
Wow. Okay.
Just from a few like exercise and nutrition things. But I found that when I drink, it like ruins me in ways that it didn't used to. So, yeah. And it ruins my ability to talk, which we experienced in whenever
what
it was
that
August.
One? Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That was because was that the day I'd run 15 kilometres in the morning and then drunk?
Possibly.
I think I had just a few too many cans and like, yeah.
Conversation just fell apart.
And it was a mixture of I've lost all my words and I also can't be bothered to even go fishing for any. So it was like, I'm stuck here. Like in my body, I'm like dealing with this lazy thing in my head that's like, no, I'm not helping you. And also this tired part of me that just can't function because
you ran 15 kilometres and now you can't drink anything anymore.
Exactly. Yeah, and it was like, oh man, I'm really embarrassed. But yeah, that's what happened. So,
but now you're stuck in the comfort of your own home drinking, and you don't have to worry about that really.
No, exactly. Apart from keeping up a podcast, which relies on words. It does rely on words. Right, so May, not sure where she is, but she asks, what's your favourite tool in the toolbox? If you were only allowed to use one tool for the rest of your life, what would you pick? I mean, the use of the word pick there feels like it's a bit like leading.
It is a leading question.
I don't think she's meant it that way, but
it's not a pick.
It's not a pick.
An ice pick.
Or a guitar pick, or
do you give your guitar pick in your toolbox?
Unless you,
well, they said the toolbox, not even your toolbox. What's your favourite tool in the toolbox, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was actually, yeah.
Right, so is there just a generic toolbox?
Maybe there is. The toolbox.
The toolbox.
Capital T, capital T.
Is it talking about literally tools? Or could it be some sort of emotional toolbox that you draw on for strategies of dealing with things?
Maybe, should we expand this out? Going back to David's question earlier.
Specific.
Boundaries. Boundaries. Great tool.
It's a weird question because it very much depends on what it is you're doing. Tools are very specific to their purpose.
Yeah, what's the most versatile tool?
Hammer. If you don't like it, get rid of it. I think is.
But if all you have is a hammer, you see everything as a nail. Is that the saying?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good one if it wasn't.
I think that's the yeah. Yeah.
But that's the thing, though, is that I think that if you've got no way of, if there's no way of improving it, destroy it.
Destroy it, yeah. If you can't fix it in a subtle way, just destroy it. Get a new one.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Or destroy it.
Yeah. If it is broke, destroy it. If it is broke, don't fix it. Destroy it. If it ain't broke, tap it gently.
By this reasoning, nothing ever gets fixed, does it? I think that's the problem with not having any other tool. But then, how specific do we have to be? If I've got my flathead screwdriver that I've picked as my one tool, and I end up with like a Phillips head problem, am I out here?
Well, do you know what this is actually remind? Did you ever have that quandary? I think they talk about it in like school assemblies at primary school. I remember it was like a little parable or a story about people with massive spoons trying to feed themselves. Do you remember that? Did you ever have that?
No.
It might have just been my teacher.
The only parable I remember was the boiling the frog. I remember that being an assembly.
Oh, and it dying because it
didn't realise it was being slowly cooked.
Yeah. What was the purpose of that for you?
I don't see. That's the thing. That's the thing with these parable things is that all you remember is the story. You don't remember the message underneath it.
Yeah.
So you've just remembered a thing about a guy with massive spoons.
No, I think I remember the message. So it was about like
I wouldn't choose a spoon if I could only have one tool.
No, there's people sat at like a dinner table with porridge and a spoon, and the spoon is so big that you can't get it into your own mouth. And something about like I don't remember any details on this, but it was something about like the difference between heaven and hell is you try and feed yourself and you can't with the spoon, whereas in heaven you realise you can pick up the porridge and feed the person opposite you with the spoon, and they do the same to you.
Oh, not a massive spoon, a long spoon.
Yeah, a long spoon.
I was imagining like
a massive spoon. Yeah,
like a shovel.
So what this makes me think is maybe May is suggesting that if everybody, because the toolbox, I think you've picked up on a really interesting, like maybe there's the collective toolbox. If everybody has a different tool and we share, we've all got enough tools to go around. But if we all just have our favourite tool and we don't share it and we think, right, we've got to fix every problem with that one tool that's ours, then nothing gets done. Everybody sees everything as as the problem through their own lens from the perspective of that tool. I don't know.
Can I still have the hammer?
You can have the hammer. So I'll have, and that gives us more flexibility to pick our favourite tool. Because probably everybody has.
So you're going to go for rubber-headed mallet.
I might actually. Yeah, it's good for like.
So I'm having a hammer. Pegs. You're having a mallet. If everyone has something different, we can solve all sorts of different problems.
I know, yeah, my brother will go for a sledgehammer.
Hammer time.
Yeah, no, I'd probably actually go for a adjustable spanner.
Good shout.
Yeah.
Can I go for one of those screwdrivers that you can put all the different heads on?
Yeah, I'd say that's allowed.
In that case, because that's cheating.
But what's is that so that you don't have to rely on anybody else? And would you share that with people, or?
I would share that.
Yeah.
I think that it's just about efficiency, really, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, so, if somebody owns that, then that's great. Like that's good for the hive.
That leaves other tools open.
Yeah.
Because if we had to like cover all the different screwdrivers and Allen keys, that's loads of people's choices taken up.
That's a good point.
Just from those. If one person goes, right, I'll take the multi-use screwdriver or Swiss Army knife.
Yeah. Yeah.
Except an outrageous one. There's like...
Yeah, one of those ridiculous ones you probably wouldn't be allowed back on the plane with.
I remember buying a Swiss Army knife while I was on German exchange. And I remember getting unreasonably paranoid that I wasn't going to be able to bring it back on the ferry.
I would be. I'd be quite anxious about that.
It was like, this thing is like, I hope I don't get asked about blades and things because I bought a Swiss Army knife.
I got 2 bunches of knives and a Swiss Army.
I've gone to Germany to pick up 2 bunches of knives and a Swiss Army knife. A Swiss Army knife is a bunch of knives, really.
It is actually. There's like, a real theme in this episode.
Big knife, little knife, and a saw, all on my Swiss Army knife, and a leather punch.
And a nail file.
A nail file.
Just in case. You got a little bit of dirt, a little bit of grime under the nail.
In case.
Just in case.
We need an emery board on this. Yeah. Otherwise, his manicure is going to be in a hell of a state by the time he gets to the end of this job.
It's good. Yeah, thanks, May, for that. That was actually turned out to be a much better question than I thought it was.
Yeah, it still came back to bunches of knives. What tool would you have? Bunch of knives.
Bunch of knives at the end of the day. Max asks, I've just bought a house with a really nice basement. Me and my wife can't decide what to use the basement for. Interested to know what you would do with that space if you were in our position.
I believe I've answered this earlier. Laser Quest.
There you go.
Except a decent Laser Quest.
Yeah.
Probably not Laser Quest. I don't know, actually. Podcast studio.
I'd use it as a studio. Definitely as a studio. Yeah. Especially if there was like an extra little room off it that you could, if you could have a control room and a live room, that'd be brilliant. So
just a little room off the back of it.
Yeah. If there was a way of like extending it, yeah, soundproofing it, that kind of stuff, that'd be perfect. Cool.
All you need down there was all your stuff and then a kettle, I guess, and just a stack of pot noodles.
That would be it. Yep.
Keep yourself fed and in nutrition.
Indeed. So,
I guess you could have a smoothie maker down there.
I mean, pot noodles can keep you going for years.
They can. The smoothies would probably have been a better bet.
Yeah.
For having down in the basement. Although if you can get away with pot noodles and they'll do the job, then
probably cheaper if you bulk buy them.
Less noisy.
Yeah, exactly. That's true. Yeah. So, yeah, congratulations, Max, for
your investment.
Getting the house. That's brilliant. Brilliant news.
Have we just gone for studio, have we?
I mean, unless you really want a Laser Quest.
No, I don't think so. I don't think it would need to be a massive house with a massive basement.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
we'd both benefit from a studio. It'd be nice to record. Obviously, when the pandemic's over, we could meet down there. So, Max, if you're listening,
just meet down there.
we're going to be meeting in your basement. So, please create us a studio. That'd be great. Thank you. We'll
send a list of equipment over that we're looking to use.
Yeah, exactly. Right, Brendan. What sport teams do you like? Have you ever been to a sports ground? Where's your favourite one?
Wow. My favourite sports team is Newcastle United.
Football.
And I think my favourite ground is probably St James's Park in Newcastle.
Oh, that's the same.
Same thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
I remember I went to the first ever match at Reading's Stadium.
The Madejski, yeah.
Yeah.
But it wasn't anything on St James's.
There wasn't anything on St James's. No, St James's is crazy. It's huge. Yeah.
Yeah. Is that what you like about it?
Yeah, it's just massive, and it's just unbelievable. You see, like when you see stadiums on TV, it's very different to being in them, and like the scale of them is just huge.
It's crazy, isn't it? Yeah.
It's
Do you remember
really
the
weird.
first time you saw the pitch?
Yeah, even playing on a pitch, like playing on a pitch versus seeing it on television is weird.
Yeah.
Like when you're old enough to understand, I'm on a football pitch right now, and it's the same as the football pitches I watch on television. Football pitches are huge compared to what they look like.
Yeah.
Like, who can whip in a cross from the corner flag without doing themselves some damage in the process?
It's like, what, you run up and down the pitch like multiple times in a game? Because I'm exhausted having done that once. Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, I remember. So the first live football game I went to was actually Roker Park, Sunderland.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, ironically, I'm not a Sunderland fan by any stretch of the imagination.
Good. Otherwise, we'd be having words.
Exactly. Yeah. There you go. It was Sunderland, Aston Villa in, I think, the FA Cup a long, long time ago, and I was down at the goal end, one of the ends. It was all standing still. Well, standing. Still. It was.
No one was moving a muscle. It was very weird.
It was when standing was, the thing that you did, terraces and all that.
I mean, it still is. Roker Park, I don't think ever wasn't, because I think they moved.
They moved to the Stadium of Light.
Stadium of Light.
Yeah, and I remember seeing the pitch, because it was an evening game as well. Seeing it floodlit it was like the most magical thing that I've ever seen in my life, because I was like really into football when I was a kid, and it was you'd see photos, you'd see it on TV, and there was something just like really magical about it. All of it, like players were not human; they would play it. They were football players. Like it's just this amazing thing. And so that was. I mean, it's not my favourite ground by any stretch of the imagination.
Roker Park.
In the same way that I'm certainly not a Sunderland fan. I'm a Stockport County fan, which had its moments, certainly in the 90s, and it's faded since then. But they're on the up again. They're in the National League. They're heading back
to the big time.
They're heading back there. And I mean, I think my favourite sport moments are when I go and see Wales play rugby. Like you can't beat those at the Principality Stadium, singing the national anthem before a match. Beautiful. I think that's my favourite ground.
I've never been to rugby live. I imagine that's another one that's just mental in terms of scale. I
think that and it's the lack of commentary that can make rugby quite a weird thing to watch. And I think the same is with football when you go and see a live game, and because if you're used to watching it on TV with commentary,
that's true,
sort of talking you through certain bits or like analysing certain bits.
You've usually got someone behind you who's decided they're going to take that role on.
Well, yes, that is true. Yeah. And they're usually wrong.
It does amaze me that the person behind you shouting stuff is always wrong. It doesn't matter where you are, who the person is. They are inevitably wrong.
Wrong and highly offensive. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're always behind you.
I remember I used to go to, my stepdad used to take me to Plymouth Argyle matches whenever they were close to where we were.
Oh, right.
Because that was always his team when he was growing up down in the southwest. And there's that weird thing of you've got someone sat behind you who is diehard to the point of blindness about anything they're saying on the pitch, and they're screaming abuse about something that's just happened. And I remember my stepdad sitting there like,
yeah,
not quite sure, is it?
It's a good insight into like the way that our lenses can be clouded by that kind of tribal thing of like, it's just, and the person I feel sorry for, which probably relates to Brendan quite effectively, is the referee and like the whole officials team who cannot win because everybody hates them, everybody's against them. Like, and actually, on the whole, they do an amazing job.
But that's the thing, though, isn't it? It reminds me of when I see a lot of criticism of the BBC. There are people on both sides of the political spectrum shouting about how biased the BBC is in the opposite side's favour.
That's true.
And the chances, if you're upsetting everyone, you're probably doing a pretty good job.
Yeah, if that's your job, if that's your role, yeah.
If your role is to be an impartial arbiter of what's going on, then you are probably pissing off everyone in equal measure. Yeah, really.
And that's where, and there needs to be a way to protect that. That is an awareness of, okay, the people who disagree with me hate this thing for the same reasons I hate it. Therefore, it is a good thing that is probably worth preserving.
Because the BBC seems to be Schrodinger's newsroom.
Yeah,
it's packed with both radical lefties and right-wing fascists at the same time.
Yeah, that's a good point.
What?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and that is the role of the officials. I think, and it's easier in certain games. I know Lauren is a big cricket fan. We talked to her about England. When was it? We spoke to her.
That was for Death Be Not Proud.
And the one before that. We've spoken to her about cricket before.
Oh, we spoke about cricket on the Halloween.
Oh, we definitely did. Yeah, Stokesy. Yeah. But I think cricket officials get more respect than... Well, football officials get no respect from anybody. Rugby officials get respect from the players, but less from the crowd.
Yeah.
And cricket officials seem to get respect from everybody.
That's the thing, isn't it? Like, cricket officials, I don't know whether people sort of hold them in higher esteem because they feel like that it's something that they can't do.
Stand for ridiculous lengths of time concentrating.
But that's the thing. If you think about the umpire's main job, apart from just counting balls being bowled and adjudicating,
which is mind blowing.
That's why they have the little pebble that they put between each hand, those sorts of things.
But I'd forget to do that as well.
I don't know.
Shit, I haven't.
When
did I stop putting pebbles across?
I mean, I also feel like the players can probably count as well. But I feel like judging an LBW, which is one of their main things, really, that's when they're really called upon.
Yeah,
is something that I don't think people can relate to. It's very rare that you go, no, I can definitively say that was definitely a wrong decision.
Yeah.
you feel like there's a level of expertise there that separates you from the umpire.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas I think when you've got armchair enthusiasts of football and rugby, because you can get involved in a more casual way with it.
That's true. Yeah, good point.
Yourself as an expert, you're more likely to be like, no, I could be doing a better job than this human being right now who's trying to run the game. I'm right. He's definitely wrong.
Yeah.
And I think that's where the divide is.
And you get to do it with loads of camera angles from your armchair rather than running after the game and being like, well, I can't see, like I've got a really bad like point of vision here and people are trying to fool me. I've got the crowd's really noisy and they're trying to influence me. Yeah. It's really tough.
But I also think that cricket has a certain level of kind of mystique around it as well. And casual observers of cricket know that they're a bit out of their depth when it comes down to some of the more intricate bits of it, and they don't feel like they can just say no.
Yeah,
I completely disagree.
Well, no, I think that pitched outside leg.
Exactly. Well, that's the thing, though, isn't it? Just the language around it, but just like that technical nature of it is very different to someone piling in with 2 feet and breaking someone's ankle.
That's true.
Yeah.
No, good point.
That's taken us down a path, hasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we've given Brendan's...
He's got his money's worth right there.
Yeah.
By sending his letter through the Royal Mail.
Well done, Brendan. Just a couple of questions left now. Time is ticking on. Hopefully, people are
still with us.
Nothing better to do on a day.
Is this or the Queen's speech? That's going to be a weird one this year, isn't it?
Should do a speech at Easter or Valentine's Day or in the summer, Halloween.
Whenever you listen to this, she's probably going to have a word at some point.
She's always meddling nowadays. Yeah.
We have been watching The Crown, and I hadn't realised the extent to which the Queen and Maggie Thatcher had a bit of a falling out.
Isn't the Crown like mostly just made up?
It is, but I think it isn't because.
Do you know what? This takes us on to Giles's question perfectly, actually.
Oh, does it?
Yeah. So Giles is obviously a big enthusiast of TV shows.
Okay.
He asks, "What's your favourite TV show this year that you've watched other than Inside Number 9?"
I'm pretty bad at new television programs. I'm pretty bad at keeping up with new stuff because it involves investing in something and giving something a go.
You introduced me to a new TV show this year.
What was that?
Ted Lasso.
Yeah. Oh, that actually is, yeah. That is the best television program of this year. Yeah. Done. Question answered.
I mean, The Crown is a new, isn't it a new series? I mean, I haven't watched any of The Crown, but
this was.
I don't know if that counts as. Well, he asked, "What's your favourite TV show this year?" I don't think that even insinuates it has to be.
I haven't loved The Crown. It's interesting. It's interesting, even with the license that's taken with the truth in some aspects of it.
Yeah.
It was today we were watching and finding out about the massive rift between the Queen and Margaret Thatcher around apartheid.
Right.
That I wasn't aware of.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know there was like a big, genuine, it almost descending into constitutional crisis.
So who was where?
The Queen was basically telling Margaret Thatcher what to do, which was sanctions. We need sanctions because the Commonwealth is potentially falling apart here, and I can't stand by and watch other nations of the Commonwealth with black populations and black leaders feel like the Queen, the British Crown, is doing nothing to support them, whereas Thatcher's son had businesses in South Africa. Is what it came down to.
Right.
Yeah, that was quite interesting.
Yeah.
But Ted Lasso has definitely been the best thing on television.
I think, and in the context of this year as well, and it's just been a nice balm, a nice, just a tonic this year of positivity, but not just like inane positivity. It's a really meaningful. I loved Ted Lasso, and it links, I suppose, with talking about sport. But it's not something you need to know anything about sport to enjoy. But it has enough in it that it's not really irritating in terms of missing. I mean, there's certain terms like tie rather than draw.
But that's part of the thing, though, isn't it? Is that a lack of understanding of British sport makes it funnier.
Yeah. But it's the fact that the commentators use the word tie rather than draw, and you're like, you wouldn't be saying that. But I guess there'll have been meetings where it's like, no, an American audience will not understand the word draw at all, but at least a British audience will understand the word tie.
That is true, yeah.
That's what I assume, anyway.
Oh, The Good Place ended this year as well, and I really loved The Good Place. That was one of my favourites from the last few years.
Yeah, I've not seen The Good Place. I haven't watched much TV this year, to be honest.
I'd highly recommend.
I mean, I've watched a hell of a lot of Inside.
I've watched Inside Number 9. There was no time to watch anything else, to be perfectly honest with you.
I've been sort of squeezing in The X-Files. I haven't even watched, normally I'd watch Twin Peaks most years. I haven't watched any Twin Peaks since, September. Actually, no, I have watched Twin Peaks this year.
I've been restarted The West Wing last month when the American election made me feel as though it was safe to watch The West Wing again.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, watching it over the last 4 years has just made me feel really sad more than anything about the idea of grown-ups being in charge of the White House. Just longing for adults to be in charge of politics again in general is
to feel like we're in the hands of adults who know what they're doing and are going to make everything okay.
If you go back to the sports thing again, it's like I hate to genuinely sit here and go, I feel like I could do a better job of running the country than the person doing it right now, but I almost feel like I could.
Well, it's not even. It's not necessarily I could do a better. It's like I know there are people who definitely would do a better job of running the country right now.
And if I was put in the position where I was running the country, I would surround myself with them.
Yes, exactly.
and
that's what it is. It's like, yeah, and not go on a massive ego trip that means that you have to somehow justify your own position and existence by making everyone believe that you are the only person that can do the thing. It's like, no, if you're mature and a good leader, then you will surround yourself with people who can do the job that you need them, that you need to do, and you can be a figurehead for that. But ultimately, you don't have to do it. You don't have to actually and that's fine, and that's actually strong leadership. But anyway, yeah. So there you go, Giles. There's a few.
I hope that answers your question.
And then finally, Arthur. I think is Arthur. Just says, "Have you tried coddling anything since the live?" He obviously listened to the live episode. Have you tried coddling anything since then? Would love to know your favourite thing that you've managed to coddle.
Molly. I've never coddled anything, much less since the live episode.
You've not been tempted to coddle anything?
Apparently coddle is an Irish dish, which is made up to use up leftovers. Commonly consists of layers of roughly sliced sausages and rashers with chunky potatoes, sliced onion, salt, pepper and herbs. So that's like a
So that
Irish
is a
stew.
thing itself.
An Irish coddle is like a leftovers stew made of sausage. Coddled eggs, however.
Yeah. Like poached.
What else can you coddle?
Well, it's just something that's cooked in something else, isn't it? I think. Well, that's what seemed to come up.
Like coddling seems to be like bain-marie versus dumping the egg in the water.
Yeah. So it's not poaching. It's not pure poaching, because a proper poached egg is in the water without anything supporting it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Coddling is something. Well, it's the bain-marie. It's the thing that holds the thing in the water.
Or you can coddle fruit.
Thanks, man.
It's all right. You can coddle whatever you like.
I've been looking for that permission for years. Andy, if you want to coddle fruit, you can coddle
away.
Fruit. You can coddle it.
Coddle isn't. I don't think it's a very versatile verb to coddle. Although apparently it says to heat it in water kept just below the boiling point. In recent terms, they usually only part coddled eggs. In the past, recipes called for coddling fruit.
And none of this involves a microwave, does it? Which is maybe why it exploded. I have cooked eggs in the microwave before. I've put them in a mug.
Have you?
Yeah.
How does that turn out?
Fine, rubbery, but fine. Like most things in the microwave. Tolerable, edible, fine, but rubbery. Not what they could be, but if
below what they could offer, the potential.
Yeah, but if it's all you can get away with, or all you've got time for, then fine.
You coddle away in your microwave.
Yeah. Oh, mate. I think we've got through all those questions.
I mean, that's a lot of questions and a lot of answers.
Yeah. So we really do appreciate... We've almost gone for 2 hours.
Have we really? This is ridiculous.
I don't know if we've got enough space to release this episode.
If nothing else, it was a fun chat.
But no, we do really appreciate all those people that have written in.
And actually all those people that listened and haven't written in.
To be fair, no one's written in.
There was a bunch of people liking the tweet.
Concept.
I was like, can you give us something? No, we found some questions.
Yeah.
And we hope you've enjoyed us answering them.
Yeah. And it's been fun hanging out at Christmas.
Yeah.
It's been fun hanging out all year. And maybe we should just finish by just reflecting a little bit on... I wrote a couple of questions that...
You didn't attribute to
I didn't attribute to it. Well, actually, no, there's one from John.
Just ask the question.
John says, I love the vibe between you two. It smells good. How did you guys meet? And what turned you into friends?
Your near-death experience.
Yeah, it was. It was my slip down the wall, and you bought me a little supportive sock.
Yeah. I was, looking out for someone in need. Which is more than 10 years ago.
And it's more than anybody else on that corridor did for me. You were the only person that cared.
Even though I was the person that least incited that behaviour.
You were. And you're probably the most judgmental about it. Like, was that the same night that I said I'm like Bob Dylan?
Possibly. It was the same night that you uttered the immortal line. Who said a great night and is now listening to some fucking awesome music or something along those lines.
whilst listening to my own music.
I mean, I like that this is a story that crops up in our podcast. It cropped up in my wedding speech. It's a story that is as old as time itself.
Yeah, I've grown since then. Well, I haven't actually. I'm still
You're a little shorter because of that sort of strange limp you've got.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how we met. Andy jumped out our window.
Yeah, no, we lived on the same corridor in the first year of university. It was a ridiculous corridor that consists of, 21, 22 people?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
No,
I don't know if anyone speaks to each other.
Other than us?
Anymore out of that, yeah. I don't know if we're the last surviving people talking to each other from that corridor.
And we spent most of the year... I'm trying to think of the way to say this without it sounding really like homoerotic.
Watching films on a bed.
Just sat on each other's beds. Watching films and drinking coffee.
Drinking coffee, yeah. Love film.
Watching love films. On each other's beds.
Picking up those discs from your pigeonhole.
Yeah, they used to come into my pigeonhole.
You're making it worse.
Used to get love films coming into my pigeonhole. Yeah, 3 at a time. Yeah, that's the way that it used to work before, like Netflix and.
Well, did Netflix like subsume love film?
Yeah,
because Netflix used to do the same thing in the States.
They did.
It was like
Blockbuster and Blockbuster tried it. Did Blockbuster try it? No, they didn't try it, did they? Or did they?
Is that why Blockbuster died?
Well, I remember because I worked for Blockbuster for a month.
So I was pretty involved in the corporate side of things.
But I remember saying in my interview that I watch love film. Like, I get love film, and I think that's the future of film rental. And then I went away from it. I was like, I've basically just said
your model is
their
shit.
business model is completely obsolete. And then when I worked for them for a month, I realised, their business model is obsolete. And then within the year, they folded. And then I worked for Borders.
Oh, yeah.
And then they folded. And then I started to think, there's a common denominator here.
I love that you entered like a level of narcissism.
Every company I work for, I bring to its knees. And they're like...
Look at the power I have.
International companies. This one little man...
Luckily, I failed my Amazon. Luckily for Jeff Bezos, I failed my Amazon interview.
Right, cool. Let's wrap this up.
Like a Christmas or Easter gift,
or summer gift, or Halloween gift.
Halloween gifts. Oh, speaking of gifts, I thought I'd open this now.
Oh, is that Lauren's?
It is from Lauren. Let's see what Lauren sent.
I've opened my gift from Lauren.
Could you not wait?
I opened it and then I thought...
I see a gift. I open a gift.
Well, I opened it and then I thought, why have I opened that? Should I have saved that for... I don't know what the rules are.
Well, I thought I'd open this on the Christmas podcast. Oh, it's a frame. It's just a frame. Seems to have used industrial strength wrapping paper that can't be torn.
You might be able to see my gift from Lauren in the background there.
Is it a mic stand?
Yeah.
Bought me a mic stand. Oh, that's cool.
It's the riddle of the Sphinx.
It says, Stephen, Merry Christmas 2020, Lauren. That's a lovely gift, Lauren. Thank you ever so much.
Yeah.
Is that the full crossword?
I believe it is. It's really cool.
R.I.P. NHS circled in there as well.
Yeah. With some blood spatter.
With some blood, but yeah, that's a nice touch. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
Lovely. Thank you ever so much.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, I don't want to get sentimental or anything, but it has been a great year and a real highlight of the year, just being able to do these podcasts and getting to hang out, chat with you every week, Steve. Yeah.
I think what's really weird is that we would have been perfectly able to have done this at any point. The fact it was kind of thrown at us as a way of spending some time over a very weird year kind of is a bit by the by. I know that a lot of people were recording things and doing podcasting things as a result of lockdown, but I think this was almost it. I think we'd spoken about it before.
Yeah, it'd been on the radar before. Yeah,
and I think it then just became a thing of, well, what are you doing on Sunday evenings? Should we just sit and chat about it?
I mean, because before we started the podcast, we'd sort of just having a chat and having a beer, and then it was like, shall we
make this more productive?
Yeah.
This feels like a waste of a Sunday.
I'm very uncomfortable with just having a chat. It does feel like a massive waste of time.
It's well, because I wouldn't describe it as a way to get through the year at all.
No,
because I think that everyone's had very different experiences this year, and mine have actually been, apart from the existential creeping dread and the constant fear being pumped in by 24-hour news, has actually been fairly positive. It's good stuff has come out of this year for me, this being one of them.
Yeah.
And yeah, Christmas at home.
Yeah. No, exactly. I feel exactly the same. Yeah, it's been, for me personally, it's been a year of great, we've talked about sort of health stuff and bits and pieces like that. It's like, actually, I've hit some good goals this year. And I'm glad of some of the progress that I've made in certain areas. And yeah, and that is okay to hold at the same time as it's been a really crap year in other respects. But you don't have to write it off as either one or the other.
Yeah, completely. Yeah.
I think, I was saying to someone earlier, I've found it a little bit weird and jarring when people have talked about 2020 in this, as if 2020 is a they've personified it as if it's like this thing that has deliberately made your life shit. In
fact, all that's happened is that there's been this conflation of events that's happened as the Earth has through one orbit around the sun.
Moment of time that happens to have been defined by us as human beings under this thing of 2020, which doesn't mean anything. But yeah, it says something about us, and almost that narcissistic thing that you talked about earlier, to be able to put everything into the hands of a non-existent entity called 2020, as if that is a thing, and as if 2021 is an entity that could take us in another direction. It's
I think
that's not how.
But I think that's more of a hope thing, though, isn't it?
It is.
That's being able to attribute it all to.
I do understand it.
Grasping on for this idea that it can all be left behind, but
I do understand it, but it's completely ignorant and childish at the same time. But if you subscribe to it, then that's fine. But it's stupid. It doesn't make any sense.
It's not. It's very much in the same vein as people choosing the arbitrary date of December 31st to make sweeping changes to their life that they think are going to happen because it's a new year and the new year.
Which again is a really bad idea.
Yeah, it is, because you jump in two-footed into something, it's not likely to end well. I think, like you, that I've ended up with this year feeling like, on a personal level, a lot of personal growth has happened.
And when did it start?
And what, this year?
Your personal growth?
Probably around March, March 23rd. But
for me, it was like around June, July, which has no bearing on it. It's not a meaningful date. It's not like, and I think that's what I would give to anybody who thinks January is like, right, from here on in, this is going to, this year is going to be great. It's like, don't put pressure on yourself in that way. Don't put pressure on time in that way. Like, it will, just roll with it, and it will kind of happen if you're sort of stepping forward into it with the intention of, no, actually, this is something I want to address this year. Then go at that at whatever time of the year that fit, like, especially health stuff. Do it in the summer. Like, for me, the summer is the time.
Absolutely. It was
to establish those habits.
I think that it would be very easy to say that this year ended up being a good year for me in terms of personal growth, in spite of everything that's been going on. But I think that it's very much been a case of, because of it, taking an opportunity that was afforded to me because of it. And I've kept a small human being alive for the entirety of this year.
Which I'm so impressed with.
Cheers, man. I know you weren't convinced when she first arrived, but it's that I was basically given paternity leave for a huge chunk of the year when I was told I had to work at home, and that has been unbelievable. Like, I know that the circumstances were poor, and there's no way I would have wanted to have wished for that. But at the same time, it's been what I've made of it. Yeah, really. And I think a lot of that is true from my experience, definitely. And I know that, unfortunately, it has left other people in less of a position to be able to make those choices. I've been very lucky this year in terms of my employment and all those kind of things, so I haven't had to worry about that. And I'm by no means ignorant to the fact that this has been a very particular set of circumstances for me that have made it an okay experience. And of course, there are people that I've wanted to see and spend more time with and all those sorts of things. But that aside, it's felt okay. Yeah.
So for me, the biggest question that I've travelled with through the year is, what does this make possible? And I've found that to be a really helpful question, probably actually through the last few years, which is, it's not a positive thinking question, and it's not a turning everything into, there's opportunities and everything's great. It's like actually just looking at any situation and thinking, okay, even though this is shit, what does it make possible? And just finding those possibilities in any situation, and then working towards what you want to get out of that has been really helpful. Because it is so easy and understandable to think, right, everything's crap, and I'm going to wait till everything gets better. And it's like, well, actually, find a bit of responsibility and your own sense of self-empowerment, for want of a much better phrase, because that's horrible. That just gives you that sense of like, well, actually, and from the perspective of the podcast, it's like, well, actually, the fact that we've spent every weekend, more or less, since April at home, has made it possible to record a podcast, because like normally there'd be you know,
family get-togethers.
Yeah, many weekends out of that.
Yeah.
Either because we record it on a Sunday evening, either I'd be away for that Sunday evening, or I'd be away through the whole weekend and then have no chance to actually watch the episode in a way that makes me feel I've got any sense of grip on it, or I'd be absolutely shattered and wouldn't be in a state to record the episode. And actually, you know, the pandemic has made the podcast possible in the way that we've done it. Like, without the pandemic, it would have been possible in other ways, but like, yeah, I don't know. It's just finding those possibilities.
It would have in no way have been as consistent. There would have been drop weeks all over the place.
Definitely.
We would not have released on 35 weeks on the trot. No way.
And I wouldn't have been able to edit it. I don't think.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
No, it just wouldn't have happened. It would have been, sorry about a delay. There'll be one out in a few days' time.
Yeah.
And I think that without wanting to sound as though it's that self-important thing again, but it's been really nice to hear that we have helped other people over the past over half a year, and people have enjoying what we've been putting out while they've been sat enduring what's been going on over the last year.
Yeah,
and that's
exactly.
actually that's been really, really wonderful to hear, and that's why every email has been appreciated and every review that has been left has meant a lot, because it has been a really shit time. I don't want to say it's been a really shit year, because you're right, it's not about the year, but this period of time has been
challenging.
It's been challenging, and to hear that people have been listening to us while they've been going out for walks when we were first locked down, and you're only allowed to go out for a walk, and people were using that time to listen to us.
Yeah.
That was
Lauren's first.
It's that's quite humbling. And the fact that people are spending their time writing to us about the things that we're saying and engaging with us like that has been mad. Like, up until this point, I'd never even considered that I would be talking to people this widely about this little program. And it's, mad.
And it's brilliant. Yeah. Yeah, so Merry Christmas, Happy Valentine's Day, Happy Easter,
Summer Solstice.
Have a great Halloween. It's been a really great...
Or Happy Birthday, if you've chosen to listen to this then.
All right.
Cool. Merry Happy.
Merry Happy.